But they're crawling through bushes, they're creeping downstream. Shotguns, bows, it's all the same thing. Fishing, poking, handguns, it's all in good fun. Reclaiming our hunting heritage towards the gun. It's the African American hunting show. Taking back the tools that we were giving before. It's the African American hunting show. Going back to the woods with guns, rods, and bows. It's the African American hunting show. Taking back the tools that we were giving before. It's the African American hunting show. Going back to the woods with guns, rods, and bows. So let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Handyman Corner. I've asked my good friend Ryan Strong to share with us some of his calling techniques for goose and for ducks. Ryan, you've been calling a long time now. You're pro staff representative for a manufacturer, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm a West Coast pro staff of Central Flyway Game Calls out of Nebraska.
Okay, all right. Can you just show us some basic calls that a person would use to maybe just call in the ducks? You know, maybe start with ducks and see how we might call them in or get them to turn around and come see our deeks or whatever.
All right. Well, one of the exciting things with duck calls is the variety. And what's important for people to know is the two main types of duck calls are single reed and double reed duck calls. And the reed is the actual piece of plastic that does the vibration against the soundboard that's producing the sound. A double reed call is very popular on the West Coast because that top reed is a suppression reed. And what it does is it allows the bottom reed to only vibrate so much. So it's a lot more forgiving to the beginner.
The amateur. Mm-hmm.
Once that person, but what that does though, is that also limits the tonal range of the duck call. Mm-hmm. So as the person advances, they are going to be somewhat limited on the volume and octave levels of their calls. So that's when they can go into...
And you need that when these ducks, you get in the middle,
the
end of the season,
different weather conditions will require, if it's a high wind, you're in an open water area, or you're in a small timber hole. The one thing that we recommend to all beginner callers is to start off with a single reed. Okay. It's just as easy to learn on. Mm-hmm. I prefer myself wood calls. You're going to have polycarbonate calls, which is plastic. Mm-hmm. Wood, which is going to be a variety of wood, Coca-Cola, Boys Art, just a half a dozen other varieties, and then you go into the acrylics.
Okay.
But I prefer the wood, and the reason I prefer the wood is because it gives a deep, rich sound.
Okay.
So these are both Coca-Cola duck calls. They're both single reed. To blow these calls, I'm producing a slight grunt, as if when a person's clearing their throat.
Okay.
And you're going to produce a sound. You're going to pronunciate the sound into the call, ack. Mm-hmm. Ack, 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 ack.
Okay.
And to start off, everything in a duck's repertoire is based upon the quack.
Okay.
So what we recommend again is to start off by being able to produce a quack.
A quack.
So an example of that. Okay. Once you can produce that sound consistently every time, then you will do a continuation of it, and that's going to be a hail. Okay. And all the hail is the greeting. You're just trying to get their attention, just like when you're waving to one of your friends. Hey.
Okay.
And the hail is going to be...
Yo, what's up? Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
A hail is going to be 5 to 7 notes.
Okay.
So... And that has a step. The first note's the loudest, and then step down, step down, step down. Ack, 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 ack. The next is a greeting. A greeting is going to be exactly the same as the hail, except they're going to be shorter and closer together, with more emphasis placed into the call. And what I mean by emphasis, that's air pressure.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little more excited.
Okay.
So as the birds have turned, you've gained their attention. Now you're going to greet them with that hail, with that greeting call. Okay. Then the next, you go into the feed chuckles. People produce a feed chuckle differently depending upon what they can do with their tongue. The best thing that I suggest is I say duck, 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 and then tick, 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 and you are spitting into the call. So, and when you produce the duh of the duck and the t of the tick, that gives you 2 sound variations.
Okay.
So what that's going to do, there's the duck of it, and now the tick, just a little bit higher pitch.
So that simulates different ducks in the...
Exactly. It's going to simulate multiple birds, and what they're doing is they're feeding.
Okay.
So
you got the hail,
you have the
you
hail,
got the greeting, and then
now
the
the
chuckle.
feeding.
And then the fourth most important thing is when not to call, right?
When not to call, and that's the tough one. So if a person was going to put this into a cadence, a sequence of events, you're going to do your greeting, your hail, your greeting, your feeding, and we can put that real short together for you. Once you've mastered that, then you can start adding quacks into the feeding.
Okay.
A comeback, and if you lose the birds, they've flared off, they've veered off, they've lost their focus on you. All that is the same thing as a hail. It's drawn out. You're pleading.
Okay.
You're pleading with them to come back. As soon as those birds come, then you hit them again with the greeting. You're excited.
Okay.
You want to keep their attention and their focus on you and not the guy on the other side of the pond.
Ryan is absolutely amazing. Now we're in the blind, and he's going to work on a group of ducks that is out circling in the area. And notice the 4 calls that he's going to use. Remember, there's going to be the hailing call, the greeting call, the quack, and the chuckle. And he's going to demonstrate the effectiveness of these calls. You gotta be kidding.
Well, what guys need to remember too is it doesn't matter the gauge of the gun. The shot travels the same distance. If it's a 410, a 20, a 16, a 12, a 10. The only difference is the longer the shell casing, the longer the wad, the longer the shot cup. So when you shoot your 2 3/4 at 35 yards is going to have hypothetically a 12-foot shot stream if it's say 1 1/8 ounce. Now my 3-inch ounce and a quarter, I'm going to be able to have, because I got about 14 more BBs in there, I'm going to have, you know, a 16-foot long shot string. And you're going to have a little bit denser pattern.
Once again, watch as Ryan calls these birds using the techniques he shared with us earlier.
Take 'em, take 'em, take 'em!
Good shot, man. Right on, man. Good shot. Kel the Wonder Dog spent the whole day with us. He was in the blind with us, and as you can see here, he loves to get those birds. Now, this is going to be a dog, once he learns all of our commands, it's going to be just great. A couple of things we learned about Kel. One is he is not gun shy. He spent the whole day with us in the blind, and gunshots didn't bother him at all.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Now just tell us a little bit about goose calling and demonstrate that for us.
The goose call is, and today there's 3 main types of goose calls. It's a flute, a cut down flute, and a short reed.
Okay.
The differences is a flute is going to produce about 65 to 70% of natural goose sounds. A flute is the longest of the calls. They're anywhere from 8 to 12 inches long. The reasons they're so long is because that chamber acts up and it builds up back pressure, and that allows the reed to pop to give that goose call that Okay. The short reed, or the cut down flute, is going to be 2 to 3 inches shorter. That call is going to start to require you to manipulate the call with your hands by squeezing down. The hardest thing it is to teach people is when you want it to crack, to do the high pitch, you do not open your hands, you close the hands to build the back pressure to pop the reed. And then you get into the short reeds. The short reeds will produce the widest variety of sounds.
But that requires the most effort,
and it requires the most
technique.
hand pressure and technique. Again, I recommend that people start off with the short reeds. If they put forth 15 minutes, 2-3 times a week, just like a classic workout, losing weight, they're going to get it down. So the goose, very similar to the duck, you're going to have your hail, and that's that classic goose sound, that Then you're going to get into the greetings, and the greetings are going to be more of clucks. So that's going to be that cluck, 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 cluck.
Beautiful.
Then you have a moan. A moan is when those geese are just getting ready to set down, and they're going to let out that. You can hear a moan like that when they're coming over the treetops.
Stay tuned for more action. We'll be right back.
Okay, at this point, Ryan is going to call in some geese. And notice the techniques that he's going to use that he shared with us earlier, and how effective he is at bringing these birds real close to us. It's not as easy to hit these birds as you might think. Hey everybody, welcome to the African American Hunting Association Outdoor Show. I'm Donnie Adair, your host, and man, we just had a great day with the North Union Hunt Club out here in Sauvie Island, Oregon. I want to introduce my very good friend, Ryan Strong. Ryan, thank you for having us again,
It's
man.
nice to see you again, Donnie.
Man, it's just always great to be out here. As you can see, we did pretty good. Man, we really love the way you called them in for us today. It wasn't the best day, but you know, we did a pretty good job.
We did all right. You guys got
harvesting
your
some
14
birds.
and have a little bit of variety in the bag, and it was overall a pretty good hunt.
Yeah, I want to mention Donnell, my trusty companion co-host, was with us again today. He knocked down some birds, and Kel, the wonder dog, actually, did a little bit of retrieving. We threw him some birds out there, and he loves the taste of ducks. We found this out, so we got a lot of potential in Kel. Ryan, first of all, tell us a little bit about the North Unit Hunt Club and how long you've been doing it and so forth.
Well, the North Unit Hunt Club has been in my family for 4 generations. My original great uncles purchased the property in the late 20s.
And this is the only private property on North Sylvia Island, isn't that right?
Yeah, this is the only private hunting club on the north end of Salvies Island. The only other piece of private property is a privately held lighthouse property, which with that allows us to be the only people up here to be able to harvest geese. I have been guiding now for 11 years. I started off when I was 20 years old. So
we can do the math on that.
yeah, we can do the math.
But I started with you 10 years ago, but let's not go there on that math, all right?
No,
I'm about
we
ready
won't.
to retire, okay? Tell us a little bit about how people can contact you if they're interested in hunting with you.
Well, actually, the best way to contact me is via email or my cell phone. And I don't know if we want to post those numbers
I tell you
later,
what, we'll get those numbers, and we'll make sure that those appear on the bottom of the screen on this interview.
Not a problem.
So we'll get that from you. Also, just tell us what kind of ducks that we harvested today. Just kind of share them with the audience, because man, you always get a variety of ducks here. We get to everything from the coveted mallards to the coveted pintail. So tell us what we have today.
Well, that's one of the attributes to this property is the variety of ducks. Just in this selection alone, we have widgeon, green-winged teal, mallards, and pintails. And to give you guys a little sample of it, we have a classic Drake widgeon. You can easily identify them by using the white wing spectrum, and then with the white crescent on the head.
Okay.
Then we can go to a hen widgeon. If you take note, it's the classic brown covered head, a lot smaller wing spectrum, and they all have the slight blue tint on the bill. And then we go to our pintail. This is a Drake pintail. They're more of to identify in the air, they're a slender bird. They're going to have a long neck on them. 2 distinct blue strips on each side of their bill. Mature drakes get a 4 to 8 inch pin tail, hence the name. That's their wing spectrum. And then that's a white breast.
I think that one had a nice pintail on it
Yeah,
before
I think
Kel,
it
the
did.
wonder dog, got to chewing on him. So
The next bird we have in here is the mallard. This is particular one's a hen. And that's the mainstay of the waterfowl industry. And then we go into the variety of green-winged teal that we have. You have a Drake. Again, they have the green hue
it's a very beautiful
on their
green.
spectrums. And then that's the same for the head. And then the hens, we'll get a little cleaner one. The hen is going to be all brown on the head, the same on the wings. They're a very small, fast, erratic flying bird, quite challenging. They're very similar to shooting doves.
Okay. Great. Well, it's a great variety. All of these birds are going to be great table fare. We like to make pepperoni and sausage out of a lot of our ducks, and it's just really, really good eating. Really good eating. So, again, we appreciate you so much. We look forward to getting back out here
Yes, sir.
with you again before the end of the season, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. So thank you very much.
I'll be looking forward to it.
And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the field. Hey everybody, welcome to the Handyman Corner. And today I want to talk about our experience with the authorities when we were on the duck hunt, our first duck hunt of the year. And about 11:30 into our hunt in the morning, a couple of federal officers, U.S. Department of the Interior special agents, paid us a visit and took a look at our licenses, our ammunition, and so forth. And what I want to emphasize to you is to have all of your licenses paid and on your person, and any harvest cards that are required, any other certifications. Make sure that you follow the law to the letter. Donnell, my co-host, that you've seen on the show, a young hunter who's doing really well, had not signed his federal duck stamp. You must sign that stamp and with your signature. And he did not get a citation, but they did contemplate giving him a citation as well. Other things that you need to do was our understanding that the officers had been viewing us all morning. So we did not shoot before legal time in the morning, which I believe on this morning was 6:42 a.m. for ducks and 8 a.m. for goose. And we certainly didn't take any game in excess of the limits. In fact, we were under the limits, and I think they thought we had more birds than we had. We shot very badly that morning. We were laughing about how many birds that we missed, and anyone who might have been viewing us might have thought we'd had many more birds than we had, because we were just poor shots that morning. And that happens sometimes, but we were having a great time, at least up until that point. Another thing to consider, we were in an area where steel shot is required, and thank goodness you've seen our pheasant hunts, our chucker hunts, where we use on preserves, we use lead shells, and the night before I had taken those shells out, completely out of my bag, and put only the steel shot that could be used in this area. So we did something really good as far as that's concerned. And then they also checked our shotguns as well to ensure that we did not take the plugs out of them, and that you could only load 3 shells in our shotguns. So if y'all don't pull those plugs out, have the minimum 3 or maximum 3 shells that you can have loaded in your rifle, and keep your equipment in accordance with the law. So the lesson here for you guys, when you go to the woods, have your licenses, tags, any additional stamps such as the federal duck stamp, any special harvest cards that you have to have, and have it on your person. And when you take that game that requires that you list it immediately on a harvest card or put a tag on that game, then do it immediately. Now, a lot of states don't really require some of those actions, particularly on big game. I know we hunt in my adopted home state of Mississippi. You just need to have that license on your person. There are no tags. So, but regulations do vary from state to state. Know where you're at. Know the rules and regulations there, and also the federal regulations. Thanks for watching the Handyman Corner, and I'll see you in the field.
Whether crawling through bushes or creeping downstream, shotguns, bows, it's all the same thing. Fishing poles and handguns, it's all in good fun. Reclaiming our hunting heritage, storage your gun. It's the African American hunting show. Taking back the tools that we were given before. It's the African American hunting show. Going back to the woods with guns, rods, and bows. It's the African American hunting show. Taking back the tools that we were given before. It's the African American hunting show. Going back to the woods with guns, rods, and bows. So let's go. 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 Let's go.